In the depths of Devil Fall Valley, where time itself seemed to rot and ancient laws lay broken, a single mistake could invite a fate worse than death. Treasures tempted the living, but something far older was already watching from the shadows. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Maki Nanlong and Lu Weiying both lowered their gazes toward the table, and their eyes met unconsciously in mid-air. For a brief instant, they scrutinized one another in silence, each brimming with vigilance. Though they had been close friends for many years before such peerless treasures, that bond seemed as fragile as mist dissipating without a trace. A heavy silence settled over the grand hall. It was finally broken by Lu Weiying's soft chuckle. "Brother Nanlong," he said calmly, "we both know exactly what the other is thinking. Although my cultivation was inferior to yours in the past, you suffered significant damage during your expedition to the Mulan Plains. As things stand now, our strengths are evenly matched. With so many spiritual medicines here, there is no need for us to fight to the death. A fair division would be far better than mutual destruction." Marquis Nanlong's eyes flicked toward the most eye-catching treasure on the table. After a moment, he nodded slightly and said, "I agree with Brother Lu. We shall divide the spiritual medicines evenly. However, I ask for only one thing, the alms bowl. You may take all the other treasures. What do you say?" Lu Weiying's expression wavered subtly. After a brief pause, he nodded. "The alms bowl. Very well. Let it be so. At present, my only wish is to extend my lifespan and improve my cultivation. I have little attachment to material treasures." A flash of joy appeared in Marquis Nanlong's eyes. He had expected to pay a far greater price to persuade Lu Weiying, yet the latter had agreed with surprising ease. Still, caution lingered in his heart. He cast a careful glance at Lu Weiying, and though the man's expression remained perfectly calm, Marquis Nanlong hesitated all the same. Seeing this, Lu Weiying smiled faintly. "What is it? Has Brother Nanlong changed his mind? Should I be the one taking the alms bowl instead?" Marquis Nanlong's gaze flickered. He remained silent for a long moment. At last he let out a soft laugh and replied with an unruffled smile, "Brother Lu jests. Since you have already agreed, I will not refuse. Let us take the treasures simultaneously. You take the 3 magical tools and the jade talismans, while I take the alms bowl. After that, we divide the spiritual medicines. How does that sound?" Agreed, Lu Weiying answered without the slightest hesitation. Satisfied, Marquis Nanlong nodded. The two moved at the same time. Lu Weiying swept his sleeve through the air, releasing a surge of white mist that wrapped around the 3 magic tools and the numerous jade talismans, drawing them toward him. At the same moment, Marquis Nanlong opened his mouth slightly, and a sphere of golden light surged forth, carefully engulfing the alms bowl. Everything proceeded smoothly. The treasures offered no resistance, slipping effortlessly into the radiance and flying back to their respective owners. When Marquis Nanlong grasped the alms bowl in his hand, joy flickered uncontrollably across his face. Lu Weiying, by contrast, showed no outward emotion as he secured his own gains. Yet as Marquis Nanlong gazed at the flawless alms bowl, the smile on his face slowly faded. With a swift motion, he flipped his hand and slapped the bowl, leaving behind a yellow talisman in a blur. Lu Weiying's expression changed dramatically. "Marquis Nanlong, what are you doing?" he exclaimed in alarm. "What am I doing?" Marquis Nanlong sneered. "Do you think I failed to notice that the other treasures and jade talismans were suppressing this alms bowl? I may not know what lies within, but I am certain it is a supreme ancient treasure. Whatever is sealed inside must be terrifying beyond measure. But if you think I would open it in front of you, you are sorely mistaken. Unless I am absolutely certain it can be suppressed, I will never unseal it." As he spoke, his hand did not stop. In the span of a single breath, he slapped 5 talismans of different colors onto the alms bowl. Lu Weiying quickly regained his composure and chuckled. "I never expected my concession to be misunderstood like this. For some reason, I feel it would be best for us to leave immediately after dividing the medicines. I have no desire to linger here. Marquis Nanlong snorted coldly. Then so be it. We will first split the lifespan extending medicines evenly. As for the rest, we'll take turns choosing. Holding the alms bowl in one hand, he stretched out the other. In that instant, a foot-long hand of golden light materialized above the table and reached toward the heaven essence fruit. Lu Weiying's face darkened. Without a word, a hand of white light appeared and grasped toward the purple heaven mend mushroom. A muffled boom echoed. Both the heaven essence fruit and the heaven mend mushroom vanished instantly. The two hands of light closed on nothing but empty air. The table erupted in dazzling radiance, and all the remaining spiritual medicines bubbled and disappeared without leaving a trace. Marquis Nanlong and Lu Weiying were left staring, utterly dumbfounded. At that moment, the alms bowl in Marquis Nanlong's hand began to flash violently. The ceiling talismans ignited one after another, consumed by pitch-black demonic flames. Those flames spread like wildfire. Marquis Nanlong's heart leapt in terror. He looked down at the alms bowl, his face draining of all color. Without hesitation, golden light burst from his hand as a worn golden talisman appeared between his fingers. He slammed it down with all his strength, but it was already too late. With a deafening bang, the lid of the alms bowl shot into the air. An indistinct mass of black light surged forth, shooting straight toward Marquis Nanlong's face. At such close range, there was no time to evade. Before his other hand could press the golden talisman into place, the black light plunged into his face and vanished without a trace. Aha! A scream of agony tore from Marquis Nanlong's throat. He hurled the alms bowl violently against the wall and collapsed to his knees, clutching his head. The golden talisman slipped from his grasp and clattered to the floor. His face began to twist and contort grotesquely. Possession. Lu Weiying's blood ran cold. Without a second thought, he pointed forward. Two blue halberds burst from his body, streaking toward Marquis Nanlong with lethal force. In the next instant, Marquis Nanlong roared and lifted his head. Dense black qi coiled across his face, and his eyes had turned a chilling silver-white devoid of all emotion. He raised his arm. Clang! Clang! The two halberds struck his forearm and were stopped dead. The sound of metal crashing against metal echoed through the hall, tearing his sleeve apart and revealing the flesh beneath. Lu Weiying's eyes widened in disbelief. That arm glowed with black light veins bulging in purple-red cords. The flesh had hardened unnaturally, wrapped in writhing black qi. This monstrous limb had blocked the halberds without suffering the slightest injury. Impossible. Lu Weiying's heart sank. Despite his mid-nascent soul cultivation, he was possessed instantly and his body completely transformed. That black light was no ordinary evil soul. With that realization, Lu Weiying flicked his sleeve. A white spell flag appeared in one hand, while a fire-red scarf materialized in the other. He flung the scarf forward, forming a crimson barrier of light before him, barely suppressing the panic rising in his chest. According to his understanding, the vast yang scarf should be sufficient to block any demonic or devilish attack, so long as he was facing an evil soul. Marquis Nanlong's body swayed as it stood upright. It did not attack immediately. Instead, it stretched out its arms, slowly inspecting itself. Then it threw its head back and erupted into wild, distorted laughter. Ha ha, Keke. After all these years, I am finally free. Let us see who dares obstruct the rise of this sacred ancestor now. From this day forth, this world belongs to our holy realm. Sacred ancestor. Holy realm. Lu Weiying had no idea what those words meant, yet an icy chill flooded his heart. He instinctively glanced toward the hall's entrance, recalling the formation he had arranged outside. Suddenly, white light flared around his body as he shot toward the exit. In the blink of an eye, he reached the doorway just as joy flickered in his heart. A blurred shadow appeared before him. Boom! An overwhelming force crashed into his vast yang scarf, blasting him back into the hall. Like a rag doll, he slammed into the wall and sank nearly a meter into it. Though protected by the barrier of light, a thunderous shock tore through his back. His entire body went numb and he lost all control. Through his blurred vision, Lu Weiying saw Marquis Nanlong standing calmly at the entrance. It slowly lowered its fist and cast a cold, mocking smirk in his direction. Lu Weiying's face turned ashen. Not bad, not bad. Though this devil-fied body is far inferior to my original form, to be able to withstand that blow means you are no ordinary cultivator. Very well, I shall accept you as a blood sacrifice. A sinister, chilling voice issued from Marquis Nanlong's body. The black key shrouding his face thickened, surging like living smoke, while his silver-white eyes fixed coldly on Lu Weiying, as though gazing upon a corpse. An icy shiver ran through Lu Weiying's heart. The moment those words fell, Marquis Nanlong's body blurred and lunged forward, leaving a trail of after-images in its wake. Terror overwhelmed Lu Weiying. He tried to pull himself free from the wall, but there was no time. Marquis Nanlong was simply too fast. Wrapped in roiling black key-clawed hands, stabbed straight toward Lu Weiying's skull with terrifying force. Driven to desperation, Lu Weiying steeled his resolve. White light burst forth from his body as he poured every last drop of his magic power into the fire-red scarf. In an instant, the crimson barrier before him swelled to a thickness of 6 inches. Just as Marquis Nanlong plunged his claws into it, his eyes utterly devoid of emotion. A bizarre, crackling sound rang out, accompanied by a blinding flash of light. Lu Weiying watched in horror as the monstrous claws pierced deep into the barrier before finally coming to a halt. A surge of relief washed over him, and he regained a shred of composure. White light flickered around his body as he struggled to break free from the wall that had become as hard as metal. Seeing this, a cruel smirk curled across Marquis Nanlong's lips. With another deafening boom, he smashed his other hand into the crimson barrier. In that instant, the spirit light surrounding Lu Weiying abruptly scattered for reasons unknown. Before he could even process what had happened, Marquis Nanlong yanked on the arm embedded in the barrier and slammed his free hand into it once more. The barrier trembled violently before shattering the remaining spirit light, dispersing completely. Lu Weiying's body was driven several more inches into the wall. Not good. Realization struck Lu Weiying like a bolt of lightning, and his face changed drastically. He hastily shook the white spell flag in his hand, attempting to activate it. But Marquis Nanlong gave him no chance. His fists came down methodically, each blow timed precisely to interrupt Lu Weiying the moment he tried to channel spiritual qi into the flag. The strikes grew faster and heavier with each impact, sending violent tremors rippling through the wall. Lu Weiying attempted to use a secret technique, but the moment he tried, nearly half of his magic power dissipated without warning. Completely suppressed, Lu Weiying was rendered helpless, trapped within the stone wall. All he could do was watch in despair as the red barrier around him dimmed little by little. His eyes met those of Marquis Nanlong, and his heart quaked violently. It was only a matter of time before his treasure shattered and his body was crushed into pulp. With a hoarse roar, Lu Weiying gritted his teeth. Brilliant white light burst from the crown of his head as a nascent soul bearing his likeness emerged. Panic was etched across its face, and in its hands it clutched a small blue sword. At the same time, the vast yang scarf finally ruptured. The last trace of hesitation vanished from the nascent soul's eyes. With a forceful stomp, it vanished in a blur, streaking toward the hall's entrance. But fate did not favor him. With its back still turned to the entrance, Marquis Nanlong's body suddenly convulsed. His back exploded outward as a ghostly face emerged, eyes shut, identical to the one upon the blood-cursed gate. In the next instant, the ghost face snapped open its silver eyes and spat out a streak of purple light. By then, Lu Weiying's nascent soul had already thrown out his flying sword and mounted it, fleeing at full speed. But as a shrill howl grazed past its ear, a searing pain erupted in its mind. Something burst forth from its forehead. The nascent soul stared blankly at the long purple strip, protruding from its brow and let out a piercing scream. An instant later, all strength left its body and it collapsed lifelessly to the ground. Had anyone been there to witness it, they would have seen a long purple tongue shoot from the ghost face's mouth, piercing straight through the nascent soul's head. Seeing the nascent soul fall, the ghost face sneered. It retracted its tongue, drawing Lu Weiying's nascent soul into its mouth. After chewing a few times, it swallowed, then slowly closed its eyes with a look of satisfaction. Only then did Marquis Nanlong turn around. His emotionless gaze fell upon the now masterless blue sword. A vicious glint flashed in his eyes as he reached out, tore the heart from Lu Weiying's body, and crushed it. Blood mist scattered into the air as the corpse fell completely still. Having finished this, Marquis Nanlong swept his gaze across the hall once more. His body dissolved into black mist and drifted outside. Moments later, he encountered several masterless spell formations. He scoffed disdainfully, passed straight through them, and surged out of the pool. Within the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Marquis Nanlong appeared hundreds of meters above a mountain peak. Flying at such a height triggered numerous restrictions within Devilfall Valley. Countless bolts of lightning descended from the heavens, but each one veered away when it came within 3 meters of him, leaving him untouched. After surveying his surroundings for a long while, he finally determined his direction. Narrowing his eyes as silver light flickered within them, he transformed into a streak of black radiance and vanished across the sky. At the same time, the Ghost Spirit Sect Master and his group stood beside the massive altar, gazing up at the endless staircase above with expressions of awe. Earlier, they had been trapped within a large-scale restriction more than 5 kilometers from the altar, delaying them for nearly an entire day. Now that they stood beside it, they could clearly see that although the altar was grand and imposing, the ravages of time were unmistakable. Weeds grew thickly between the steps, and several sections were badly worn down. Wang Tiansheng examined the altar for a long while before finally speaking. "Move out. Once we reach the upper portion of the altar, we should find traces of the Spirit Ether Garden. According to the Soul Remnant, the entrance lies there." With that, he stepped forward and began climbing. To everyone's shock, Wang Tiansheng suddenly cursed aloud the moment he took his first step. Yellow light flared around his body. Staring up at the seemingly endless staircase, he ground his teeth and shouted, "Everyone be careful. There are restrictions on these steps. Reaching the top won't be easy." Wei Wuya frowned. Though such restrictions were nothing to him, they would undoubtedly slow the others down. There was nothing he could do. The rest of the group felt the same irritation. Knowing that the Spirit Ether Garden lay just ahead, these obstacles only fueled their impatience. "Let's go," Wang Tiangu sighed as he stepped onto the stairs. Yellow light immediately enveloped him, and his body felt as heavy as half a ton. At the same moment, the formation activated for the others as well. While Wei Wuya moved without hindrance, the 3 core formation cultivators turned pale as they struggled upward. The group advanced slowly toward the top of the altar. Beside an oasis hidden behind layers of restrictions, Han Li gazed at the water before him and murmured, "This is the Spirit Kindle fruit." Beyond the restrictions stretched endless yellow sand. "That's right. It must be the genuine article," Violet Spirit replied, standing 3 meters away, excitement lighting her face. Her luminous eyes were fixed unwaveringly on the oasis. At the center of the pool, sludge rose gently around a single emerald green plant. About 1 meter tall, it was covered in thumb-sized oval leaves. At its peak grew 4 peculiar fruits, fire red, narrow at the top and wide at the base, each emitting a faint crimson glow. Along with the subtle fragrance they released, they resembled candles burning atop a stand. Han Li was already convinced of their authenticity. Hearing Violet Spirit confirm it as well, he smiled faintly. Violet Spirit let out a deep breath, then turned to Han Li with resolve in her voice. "I'm going to pick the fruits now. It's best not to delay any longer. There is no need to be so impatient. Since this plant has existed here for so many years, it is very possible that something is guarding it. Otherwise, it would have already been consumed even with the illusion formation protecting it." Despite the excitement in his heart, Han Li's expression remained calm and composed as he spoke. Brother Han means to say that there may be an ancient beast guarding it. Violet's spirit was startled. Her alarm quickly restored her clarity of mind, recalling that Han Li had previously mentioned the ancient beasts lurking within the valley. That's right. Do you see the two broken branches near the top of the plant? Two of the fruits were likely already eaten by the beast guarding it. Although the spirit kindle fruit cannot raise one's cultivation realm if consumed unrefined, it can still help break through bottlenecks. That should be the reason the fruits were not completely devoured. There was little doubt if the creature was still nearby, it would be hiding within the lake. Ever since Han Li had ventured deeper into the valley with Violet's spirit, he had removed the cloak from his head. He reasoned that she must have already deduced his ability to evade spatial tears after seeing him operate the wind, riding chariot, so there was no longer any need to conceal it. After sweeping his spiritual sense across the lake and finding nothing, Han Li's eyes suddenly glowed with an intense blue light. His gaze pierced more than 100 meters into the depths of the water, and his expression subtly shifted. Violet's spirit had been watching him closely. Noticing the change, she frowned slightly and asked, "What is it?" Has Brother Han discovered something? Han Li turned to her with a calm expression. "Step back. The ancient beast guarding the fruit is rather troublesome. It will take some effort to deal with it." The fact that the creature had evaded his spiritual sense left a deep impression on him. "Then I'll have to trouble Brother Han." Violet's spirit replied sincerely. Knowing her own strength was insufficient, she relied entirely on him and tactfully complied. She retreated 100 meters and hovered silently in mid-air. Once Violet's spirit had withdrawn, Han Li reached to his waist and tossed 3 spirit beast pouches into the air. Forming a spell seal, he released tens of thousands of gold-devouring beetles, which surged forth like a golden tide, blotting out the sky within 100-meter radius. Brilliant golden light shimmered through the air. "Ah!" Violet's spirit couldn't help but cry out in shock. She was no stranger to Han Li's insects, having witnessed them in Heaven Void Hall and during his battle with the disciple of Archant Six Paths. Yet the gold-devouring beetles before her had undergone a dramatic transformation, their color deeper, their aura fiercer, their numbers vastly greater. The sudden appearance of these tens of thousands of fearsome insects released an overwhelming pressure that left her breathless with awe. Han Li paid no heed to her reaction. With practiced ease, he arranged the beetle swarm into formation. Then, with a sweep of his sleeve, 36 bamboo cloud swarm swords flew out in succession, circling the beetle cloud in foot-long streaks of light. He struck the sword lights with a series of spell seals. Instantly, each sword split into more than 100 identical images, radiating dazzling brilliance. Pointing toward the sky, Han Li softly commanded, "Go." The sword lights trembled once, then vanished one after another. In the blink of an eye, the aureate sword formation had been laid down beneath the insect swarm. Han Li pursed his lips. With the formation in place, his mind felt far more at ease. He gazed coldly into the lake below, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. Flicking his hands, golden light burst forth as thunder rumbled around him, condensing into a fist-sized sphere of lightning between his palms. In the blink of an eye, the lightning sphere expanded to the size of a bowl. With a clap of thunder, Han Li thrust his hands forward, sending the golden lightning crashing toward the lake. The moment it touched the water's surface, thunder roared violently. The lightning ball exploded, filling the lake with crackling arcs of electricity. Violet's spirit bit her lip, her heart heavy as she watched, her gaze fixed unblinkingly on the scene. The lightning did not dissipate. Instead, it surged wildly through the water, forming a 10-meter-wide whirlpool at the lake's center. A muffled roar echoed as black and white demonic ki billowed forth, faintly revealing the silhouette of an ancient beast. The creature was grotesque beyond description. Its soft, jet-black body stretched over 20 meters, riddled with bumps and holes of varying sizes. At the center of the mass of flesh rose a swollen protrusion that served as its head. Aside from a single jet-black eye, there were no visible sensory organs, no mouth, no nose. Even Han Li felt a chill at the sight, while Violet Spirit's face went pale, a cold shiver running down her spine. Han Li had never seen nor heard of such an ancient beast. He glanced at Violet Spirit, but she could only offer a bitter smile. She knew nothing of it either. Facing an unknown enemy, Han Li decided swift annihilation was preferable to cautious probing. He raised his hand and struck the insect swarm with a spell seal. A deafening buzz filled the air as the beetles condensed rapidly, forming an enormous golden cloud that descended upon the ancient beast. Sensing grave danger, the beast's body expanded and contracted violently. From the countless holes in its flesh, a strange green liquid sprayed outward, filling the air with a pungent, fishy stench. Han Li frowned briefly, then relaxed. The green liquid had no effect whatsoever on the gold-devouring beetles. The golden cloud pressed downward, but the black-white key enveloping the beast resisted, preventing the beetles from closing in completely, though only temporarily. Fear seized the beast's mind. The beetles were devouring the black-white key it had painstakingly cultivated over countless years. In desperation, it tried to dive back into the lake. But Han Li was already prepared. Pointing at the water, he conjured a walnut-sized blue fireball at his fingertip and flicked it forward. Crackle! The fireball exploded in a burst of blinding blue light. Icy blue ki surged outward, freezing the lake in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the once blue waters transformed into a massive slab of ice. The beast's escape was cut off. Slamming into the frozen surface, its terror only deepened. Desperate, it tried to flee across the ice, dragging the beetle cloud and its tattered key barrier along with it. Just as it reached the lakeshore, a flash of golden light appeared in mid-air. A thin golden sword thread slashed through the void. A chunk of jet-black flesh was torn free, spraying blood across the beetle swarm. The golden thread had sliced cleanly through the black-white mist, opening a fatal gap. Instantly, countless gold-devouring beetles poured through, covering the beast's body. A shrill, miserable scream erupted as the creature's body flickered wildly. Demonic green flames burst forth, attempting to incinerate the insects. Yet the flames proved utterly useless. Not only were the beetles unharmed, they became even more frenzied, devouring the beast at an accelerated pace. The creature writhed in agony, changing direction again and again in a futile attempt to escape. Han Li stood calmly at the lakeside, hands clasped behind his back, watching coldly as the beast floundered like a headless fly. The aureate sword formation lay in wait, though he did not activate it fully. Each attempt at escape was met with a golden sword thread that cleaved away another portion of its body. Before long, more than half of the beast had been devoured. Its screams weakened until finally it let out one last agonized cry and collapsed onto the ice, completely motionless. This nameless beast's greatest strength lay in its extraordinary ability to conceal its aura, so effective that even late nascent soul cultivators would struggle to detect it. In actual combat, however, it was pathetically weak. Unfortunately for it, its concealment had been pierced by Han Li's bright sight spirit eyes. Trapped by the aureate sword formation and overwhelmed by the gold-devouring beetles, it was unable to use its innate escape abilities and was easily slain. Moments later, the beetles buzzed and dispersed into the air, leaving behind only a strange black-and-white sphere, the beast's demon core. Violet Spirit flew over, gazing at Han Li with unconcealed admiration. "Brother Han, your abilities are truly profound. You slew such an ancient beast with ease. It seems the rumors of you being comparable to the 3 great heavenly south cultivators are indeed true." "It's not that my abilities are exceptional," Han Li replied, shaking his head. "The beast itself was weak. It cannot compare to the ancient beasts I've faced before." With that, he reached out and drew the demon core into his hand. Looking down at the shimmering black and white core, Han Li's eyes lit up with excitement. This was the first time he had ever seen a demon core of such peculiar coloration. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.